Hello, everyone.
Hello, hi Shavik. Hi everyone.
Hey.
Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Yes, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Yeah. So we have a little less number of attendees than usual. Okay. You people still be in the holiday mood. Right. Let me record. Sorry. Let me share my screen. I'm just going to share the agenda for today. I think we had a couple topics. One is suggested by Jan about Docker migration, and second one suggested by me. And I guess we will have to come up with more topics on the fly. Before we move on, I just want to check if anyone new who we don't know joined. Probably no. I think I don't see any new faces. So, okay, let's start with the first topic, migration of Docker images to Quake.
Okay, so yeah, this is just a heads up that that the decision was made that we migrate away from Docker Hub to Quay. I think Shubik has created us an initial organization in Quay. Thank you for that. I've just started today to migrate the existing content from Docker Hub to Quay. And now the question is how to move forward. So I was thinking that we can use the v1.9 release of Argo CD to officially migrate the images as in the manifests, so that we skip 1.8, the next patch releases, we let them on Docker Hub and move forward with the 1.9 release. So this is what I was thinking. Maybe there are other opinions on this. So
Sorry, could you repeat, please? I didn't understand. Sorry.
Pardon?
Sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying. Could you please repeat?
Yeah, so everything, or what did you not understand?
Yeah, I think you were specifying that from some versions we are going to have
Yeah.
images in Quay.io and
Okay.
rather than
So
just which versions we're talking about.
okay. So I was proposing to go forward with v1.9, so that we use the v1.9 release to also have our installation manifests point to Quay and mention it in the release notes.
Mostly, I feel like it's a good idea. I mean, I don't see any problem with changing default manifest and pointing it to Quay. And I wasn't sure about, are we going to keep publishing to Docker Hub as a kind of, as a courtesy, or we just abandon Docker Hub completely and we move to Quay and don't ever publish to Docker Hub?
Yeah, I mean, the general risk of having it in Docker Hub in general is that you're going to still have people pointing to it, and they're going to have failures in CI, and they're going to come back to us, hey, this is not working, or whatever it is, um, because of rate limiting issues. So it might be good to completely move away just to avoid somebody thinking that, things would just continue working, because may not. So yeah, and I'm also wondering that I mean, I'm sure there are folks who might be complaining right now that, hey, we're trying to pull the image from upstream, it's not working. Because let's say they have a CI job which pulls it multiple times a day, and they're running out of, you know, the, the number of times they can hit it. Um, are there is Do we know if users, I mean, based on the user feedback, is there an urgency to even move the existing images, I mean, of the versions that have been released, let's say 1.8, to Quay.io as well, so that we can tell those people, hey, if you are pulling too many times, don't use Docker Hub, and you don't have to wait for 1.9 release for that.
I think John already did it.
Yeah, the images are migrated. All the tags are available in the Quay already. So
Okay.
it's now it's just
Oh, I don't see it. Okay.
the migration path. Yeah. So
Yeah, and
so maybe we should have one release for deprecation of Docker Hub. So maybe we push v1.9 also to Docker Hub and to Quay, but point the manifests to Quay. And
yeah, I think Jan, I think long term we only want one.
yeah,
Like, I don't think we should keep going to both. I think a transition release that sounds like a good idea.
I think it might be useful, for example, for Helm users, for users who install Argo CD using Helm, because people just might want to bump version as usual, kind of, and then keep using Docker Hub, and it won't work. So it would be
right.
surprise. Yeah.
How about like first of all, of course, we're not gonna delete any old images. They're gonna stay. We copied them to Quake so that, as Chobik was saying, if someone sees these kind of rate limiting problems, they can just change it over to Quake. Of course, most of the references are from in our from Argo Proj, but like Alex is saying, there may be some people who are like manually like referring to it from other scripts or configurations, or they when they upgrade they do it by bumping up the version number or something like that.
Or if they're like us, then their corporation only has like Docker Hub whitelisted as a
right. Yeah, and that may take them some time to change over.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think for 1.9, I don't know, maybe the next one as well, we'll see. We released to both sites, and then we can keep an eye on how many pulls we get from the new images, and then once that reaches a low enough value, we just stop releasing. What do you think?
Yeah, we shouldn't advertise the fact that it's done Docker Hub still. Well, 1.9, I think we should say, hey, we are moving to Quay, so our new our manifest will point to Quay, and hopefully we see immediately dropping pulls from Docker Hub.
Right. I think the vast majority will just drop, but then there's people accessing it from the command line or something. So okay, so for 1.9, then we release to both, right? Docker Hub and Quake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you guys for the feedback.
But we should tell the community to start using Quake.
How do we communicate it? Are we going to just
Slack channel and
Slack channel?
It's fine.
And the release, definitely in the release notes.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
And the community meeting, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well. Okay.
And right now it's just Argo CD, right? Workflow, they don't have enough pulls. They may not care for that.
Actually, you'd be. So I think workflows would.
Benefit even more. Okay.
Yeah, because the executor image is pulled with every workflow. Right. I mean, it's not present.
That's a good point. Yeah. Oh, it's Alex. So we need to coordinate with Alex Collins then and make sure we try to do it.
It's really easy. So I use the tool. It's called Scopeo, and it's to copy the existing images. It's a one-liner.
Oh.
So you can just tell it to sync from GitHub repository to the Quay repository, and it just goes ahead and does its stuff and syncs all the tags. You can also sync single tags or copy single tags if you don't want the old craft. But yeah, I've done a write-up. Just let me.
Yeah. No, I meant more like updating documentation and references to the images.
Yeah, I think we'll also need to update our scripts, etc., to be able to push there on a release, right? So I think.
How long did it take you to migrate everything?
I've done it from a very fast uplink, so
Oh.
it was like, I don't know, 30 minutes, something like that. Was I just for this purpose I created a VM somewhere in the cloud and just gave it.
That's a good idea. I reached my Comcast bandwidth limit in December. For data.
At home I have a whopping, I think, 10 Mbit upstream.
Oh no.
So on Comcast, when you try to take a plan, they sometimes make you go through a wizard that, I watch streaming, I watch TV, or I do video calls. There should be one guy. I pull container images.
Yeah.
That's just
Great.
plan altogether.
That's funny. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So then
Thank you.
I'll take care of the rest. So
I'll let I'll let Alex Collins know we should do that for the next release for workflows, and I'll make sure that happens for rollouts.
Okay, great.
All right. I want to kind of insert another topic. It's not listed here, but it's related to release, and so we noticed it only yesterday. So we have release branches, as you know, and a lot of users use release branch as a simple way to self-upgrade Argo CD to patch releases. So for example, we have release-1.8 branch, and it has installation manifests, and as well as it has customized bases. And what users do, they have Argo CD that manages itself, and it uses a release branch as a source of manifests. And it was working fine, but yesterday we had a user who had outage. So basically we just cherry-picked a change which changes deployment manifests, and it introduced new liveness probe, but that release is not yet published. And as a result, users self-upgraded to new deployment manifests, but deployment manifests still were running the previous image. So, and it caused the problem. Basically, it just didn't, so liveness probe failed, and there was an outage. So, and I wanted to discuss quickly how we can improve it. One idea was to introduce floating stable tag, kind of. So we have we have release tag which includes minor version to help users who wants to safe upgrade to patch releases. We could introduce floating minor release tag, kind of. So if we have 1.8 release tag, then they could use it instead of a branch. Yeah, so that's.
Yeah, I think I agree with the use case. That it's nice to just get automatic patch releases and just point it to something. On the other hand, I don't condone the use of a branch to do that, because we should reserve the right or the freedom to kind of do what we want in a branch and break that. So I think I like your idea of a floating x.y minor tag that people. So it's almost like the Docker image tags. Like you have the patch release tags, and you also have the minor release tags, so that people can choose their level of comfort of I guess risk.
And it's not so much work for us. We can just add one more line in release script to push two images, two tags. One is patch, and second, actually it might be, no, it's safe. We never release, previous, so it's safe to always upgrade minor release tag to most recent patch release.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then this, I think I can work on it. At least I can create an issue, and good to get it done before next.
And maybe we should also document that somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so if you use customize, you have the following options, or if you, I think you can also get the installation, the pre-rendered installation manifests from those tags, right? Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's only for customized users. Helm users, they have it their own way to self-upgrade. They maybe use some word tags.
Right.
Yeah, and only customized users.
Yeah, but the Helm is shielded because they're not affected by our development activities.
Yeah, yes.
Branch
I think
tracking.
every Helm version kind of curated, like people have to publish new Helm version.
Should we do this starting in 1.9, I guess?
It's good to. I mean, I think we can do it whenever we get it done. Like, I think it's safe to make this change and put it into 1.8.
Okay.
Hopefully, we won't get such breaking manifest changes in 1.8, but I would do it just in case to feel safer.
Okay, but let's target it. Like, we'll get it done for 1.9, whether or not we backport it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So next topic I wanted to quickly discuss, and I'm glad Shobik's here. You might have opinion. So yesterday we presented our idea to extract Argo CD identification score into a library. We need to decide where that library goes, and we have options. We can either just go and put it into Argo Labs, and I guess it would be a quick and easy process. But the caveat is that Argo rollouts, which lives in Argo Proj, would have to reference library from Argo Proj Labs, and I felt it could be strange. Basically,
Yeah. So quick question. So that piece of code is already there in Argo
not yet.
rollouts.
No. So, and just to kind of recap, so we have Argo CD.
Nice.
Yeah, Argo CD identifications has code which we want to reuse, and Argo rollouts is a first consumer, and
got it.
we really like ready to move it into a separate repo. Code is already decoupled logically. It lives in a package inside of Argo CD notifications, and we just need to move that package into a separate repo. And then next question is, how do we name that repo? And so basically there are two questions: what name should we use, and which org? And I guess I wanted to just discuss org first. And
yeah, I think from an org perspective, it should remain in Argo Proj. We are just splitting code out from, let's say, a monorepo way to a multi-repo way, let's say. It's not precisely that, but in general, we are not really starting a new project. We are just
we
are refactoring our code in a more modular way. That's it, right? So as long as, I mean, this is not a fresh new project that we are starting. We are basically moving on to reusable component for better design. So it doesn't have to go to labs, I think. It should remain in Argo Proj. So I think
and I think the reason I brought labs
in a lot of agreement with that.
But okay, yeah, I feel the same way. I just wanted to make sure no one has objections. And does anyone have objections about the name notifications engine?
I like it because it differentiates it from a top level project. Because originally I thought like, oh, it should be called Argo notifications, but then that implies it's a top level project because we have Argo rollouts, Argo CD, Argo workflows is not renamed right now. Argo event, and I didn't want notifications to be confused as a top level project, so I like the fact that it's like GitOps engine. So I like the name.
Okay.
It's a yeah, I think I'm good with that. Could you point me to or could you drop on chat the exact API directory that you're moving out?
Yes.
Just wanted to quickly take a look. So it is a reconciler, right?
It's not a reconciler.
That basically looks at.
I can
Like, because from what I read, you put annotations on specific objects, and this basically picks those up and use it, or is this just the Golang API, which is not reconciler?
It's not reconciler. It's just a Golang API, and let me slug the document as well.
So Argo CD notifications, which he's now splitting into 2 repos, that's the reconciler. And then notification engine is simply the library that knows how to talk to Slack and PagerDuty and email. And so that thing that understands how to talk to everything is the library, and it has a well-defined API. But the thing, it also has a standard about the annotation syntax and the config map syntax.
Right. So this is basically, it's just a tool, but you have to write reconciler that uses that tool. And the reason is a rollout reconciler is going to be very different from Argo CD identifications, because Argo CD identifications is a sidecar, and maybe rollout is going to be just,
yeah, it'll be part of the rollout reconciler.
Yep, got it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with the name and location. I will work on moving the code.
And sorry, a quick follow-up question. Did you did you mention that you've already moved out notifications outside? No, right? So you will be moving out notifications reconciler outside.
I will be moving. So there is Argos identifications now consist of reconciler, and it uses package in the same repo. I'm going to move that package, just that package, yes. And so we're going to have one reconciler inside of Argos identifications, another one inside of Argo rollouts, and maybe a third one is going to be Argo workflow notifications.
Got it. So we are going to keep the reconciler sticky to the project who's using it, and we're just going to move out the.
And in the case of Argo CD, it's actually a whole different controller and binary and deployment that is doing the notification. But in the case of the rollouts, I don't need a clear separation. I think the current rollout reconciler can do the work too. So I plan to just import the code and use it directly.
Got it.
Okay, so looks like we're done with all the topics. We can either wrap up early, or I would be happy to use that time to just maybe update about 1.8 patch release.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, yeah, that was, so it's basically, we've got a lot of important changes in 1.8 patch release branch. And so there was a security fix which Sneak found, and Jan fixed it. And I think it's the most important one. There is also a security fix for bundled decks. We upgraded the DEX version, and there were a very kind of issue which caused a lot of noise. DEX apparently was vulnerable to users who use it to connect to some of providers, kind of in danger. So we needed to release these changes. Plus, we cherry-picked one kind of hotfix for users who uses app of apps pattern, and they have a very big applications. And what went wrong is I found yesterday that this fix causes performance issues. And basically, I propose to just roll back that fix from the release branch and only release security fixes, and then keep working on a better fix which doesn't cause performance problems. So yeah, and I think that's the only thing we can do right now. I don't want to delay the release of security fixes for another week before we get a better fix for a bug, which I mentioned.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you described sounds a good plan.
yeah, I think in this case, yeah, I already started at work, and I feel like there is just no other option we have. But I wanted to update everyone and say that this is happening. And just to give you a little bit more details, so we use a library called MessagePack to serialize cache and store it in Redis. And this guy had a bug. It was just panicking in some edge cases. And we replaced it with just JSON serialization, a very minor small change, but it doubled the amount of CPU Argo CD uses. So, and it was not visible on small deployments, but the real life deployment of Argo CD, it became much slower. Yeah, so I feel like we just have to maybe roll back to MessagePack again, and then try to upgrade to latest version of MessagePack and see if it's fast as well as and don't panic. This is what I'm going to do.
Did we catch this internally? Is that how we found this?
Yeah, I tried to do it yesterday internally, and small. So we have different definition of big or small installation of Argo CD. So if Argo CD manages small number of apps but many clusters, then you're fine. But if you have a lot of applications, that means you need to store so many small caches of application state in Redis, and that became really CPU consuming process.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I assume it's just maybe Golang uses a lot of CPU to serialize JSON, and we do it very frequently. So MessagePack apparently was really useful for us because it's quicker than normal JSON serialization. Cool. Yeah. Thank you. So I think I'm just going to revert this bad fix from release branch and publish finally 1.8.2, I think.
Okay. So that fix never went out or never.
No, I only attempted to kind of test it internally yesterday, and the testing failed. Yeah, I think I spent like 3 hours trying to figure out what was. Okay, and I had only one more topic, which may be worth discussion. So I think we discussed it with Jan and Regina. We were trying to, so we have a caveat right now in Argo CD documentation. So the problem is we always publish only the latest version of documentation, which is pulled from master. And that confuses users because every time we just build a feature and it's immediately available in documentation, but it's not working in latest release. And we wanted to migrate to something that supports documentation versioning. And I think we had kind of two candidates, a library called Mike. I think that library uses mkdocs and kind of help to produce static manifests, so static assets. And you can produce multiple versions of the same documentation. Another option, read the docs. And read the docs is kind of the same, but it's not a tool, it's a service. And service is a little bit more convenient because you just don't need to do it manually. It literally just builds the version of documentation using release tag automatically. And that's it. So it's much easier to operate it. And the only problem with read the docs was that we wanted to keep using exact same like look and feel of documentation, and we didn't know how to get version selector in the UI so people can switch between versions. I think we finally found how to do that. So because we know how to get that version selector and read the docs is kind of easier to use, the proposal is to just move to read the docs and use it for documentation.
That sounds good. Are is it being tracked anywhere that we could go into?
No. Oh yeah, actually it's been tracked. Yes, I think Jan created.
There's a couple issues on GitHub for it, one issue and then like a pull request, but I have to update the pull request to now reflect read the docs instead of Mike. But it's in progress. Working on it right now.
Cool.
And I keep trying to find a caveat, what could go wrong, but I don't know.
I think a caveat of read the docs is, that it's an external service, so it's something that we need to manage, right? So it has a lot of benefits, so automatic building and stuff like that, and but the caveats are, so it's another third-party system, and I think it has ads.
Oh, really?
So,
you mean?
Yeah, you don't see it because you have an ad blocker, probably.
Okay, that's.
But it has. They say they have. How do they call it? So they don't have the big ad networks in it, So they don't show. I think they show only software-related ads or something like that. I'm unsure. Because I never saw the ads as well, because I have an ad blocker too.
But this is good to know. I personally don't have objections because I don't even see those ads, but I guess maybe
you can become a sponsor, I think. So, and then they disable ads for your project. So that's a possibility. I don't know about the financial side of the Argo project. So, but it's something, if we decide to go with read the docs, and I mean, they're supporting open source projects, their services for free. So maybe in the future, if we're satisfied, we can decide to sponsor, become a sponsor of read the docs. I think it starts at $10 a month or $5 a month or something like that. But yeah, that's just the thought. So.
And Ed, Shobek, you have any objections about?
No.
I
think in general, I think I'm good, and I'd like to quickly check. I mean, we could just go ahead with that, but in general, I was just wondering whether CNCF has already some kind of partnership with something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's something we should bring into our knowledge. Yeah, the CNCF, right?
Yeah, actually, if you send me a link to the service and exactly how we would use it, I can ask them. In general, though, I don't think there's any problem in paying for some service that would be useful to us. Main thing to watch out for are like licensing that scales with number of users. If the users would be like all contributors or something like
that. Okay. Actually, they might benefit from Argo because we have Google Analytics, and last time I checked, we have around, I think, 25,000 users every month, and maybe 100K visits every month. So it's like not super popular website, but quite a lot of visitors still. Okay, let me stop sharing, because I'm no longer sharing anything useful. Anyone else has any topic you want to discuss?
I'm good.
Well, if not, I might have another heads up. So I think, Alex, I told you already in Slack, I'm working on a complete rewrite of the documentation right now. So I started somewhere after Christmas and before the New Year. Yeah, just as a heads up, there's something coming. Maybe it's in a good enough shape I can show next contributors meeting. And I'm also looking then for feedback for contributors that want to contribute to the new documentation. I have completely reworked the structure. So just as a for your information that there's something coming. And I hope next contributors meeting I'll have something to show and something ready enough for people to join this effort.
Awesome, thank you. I think it's important to get this versioning, before we merge the change, because we can iterate on it in master, and people are still going to see stable documentation until we're happy with the version.
Yeah, the new version is I do it in a completely separate repository.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and then it's based on the same mkdocs theme, and the look is the same. And if it's in a stable state someday, we can just replace the docs directory, and it should be fine. So, but yeah, there's some migration issues or migration path that we need to consider, but we'll work that out, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. Sounds good. So I think if there is nothing else, we can wrap up and save 20 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good rest
Bye-bye.
of the day.